pretty much taken over everything. So again, then you do 5 full weeks, and then you slowly diminish the classes that you're responsible for.
Do we need to pick up that first subject on Monday, or how's that work?
I recommend people to just spend the first 2 days and the next full week observing.
Yeah.
You really need
So
to see
7
that
days
whole
of-
week, I think, before you start picking things up.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a situation like Katie where and Morgan, if you're in a 10 and 5, you really just get going, as
Yeah.
quick as you can, because you're just on it.
And that's the dual placement, the 5 weeks and 10 weeks. And you have to work out with your supervisor how you're going to do those.
Priscilla, can you meet us at room 236? Priscilla, meet us at room 236.
If you're in a school that doesn't end the first semester until January has already started, if you're in a high school situation where you're going to change classes, you wouldn't start teaching until the new semester began. You'd
Right.
just be observing and helping.
And that's not till late January. So you high school folks are kind of in a holding period for those first few weeks of January of getting them ready for exams and all of that, and then you'll start that process. So it's a little harder, but you usually have fewer classes than the elementary folks, so that kind of works better too. All right, so during your 15 weeks, you may not substitute for pay, but you may substitute 3 days for your teacher, but you can't be paid for it, okay? So let your teacher know they can take 3 days off if they have the day, and you can cover for them.
I'm not telling you.
And I think they all like that.
She gonna know.
But then, as soon as the 15-week period is over, that's what they were saying, you can then substitute. And school doesn't get out until mid-June. So once you're finished, if you're interested in substituting that last month, go for it. But find out what the system requires. Most of them require you now to take a class to be a certified sub, but usually they excuse that if you're a student teacher. Sometimes they'll do that. So if you're interested, find out what you need to do there.
You really should go ahead and start filling out that paperwork as soon as possible, because it takes a little while to process that. And if they needed a sub at the beginning of January, you don't want to have to say no because you haven't filled out your paperwork. So go ahead and get started with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't think that January, I thought you said it was just.
Well, you can sub but not get paid. But,
Yeah.
yeah. So you need to get your paperwork done before you can sub for your teacher.
Yeah, you still have to be certified to do those 3 days. Or else they have to hire somebody else in there that's worthless, but that comes out. Okay, dispositions and professionalism. You've already found out through your just once a week. Hopefully you've taken the leadership role. Hopefully you've realized, the kids are looking at you as their teacher. If they're not, you need to make sure they're doing that you are the teacher. So you need to switch roles. Even though you're still learning and you feel awkward in the situation, you got to step it up. It is going to be your classroom. It is your classroom. So please do so. And along with that, here are just some reminders. School responsibilities, their school responsibilities have to come first. Attitudes and action of teacher, not the student. That's what I'm saying. You are the teacher. You're not the student. You can be the student around the other teachers and let them teach you, but in front of the kids, you're the teacher. Remember school regulations and policies. Your behavior in the community, it shows. I was up picking up stuff at Geppetto's today and met one of my students from the first year I taught, and I taught 30 years. And so, in the community, you're going to see people forever and ever. Be on time for your school duties, submit your plans prior, 24 hours prior. I was talking to Professor Linton about that. Most of the time, work with your supervising teacher and find out what they want. Most of the time, they want your lesson plans submitted on the Friday before the next week. But along with that, your lesson plans have to be approved by your cooperating teacher before that. So maybe on Thursday afternoon, you have to sit with your cooperating teacher and say, here's what I'm going to teach next week. Is this okay? And then on Friday, you submit that. Sometimes the supervising teachers will let you wait till Saturday or Sunday to turn those in, but again, you still have to have them approved from your cooperating teacher. So stay on top of those lesson plans. Remember the confidentiality of student information. Don't go around telling every kid's name and what you're doing. You can share the joys, but don't share your names. Be a grateful attitude, please. Positive reflection of LR, the cooperating school, the community, and the teaching profession. Dress appropriately. Avoid favoritism, and that's sometimes hard to do because there's some cute kids out there. But show all kids respect. Continuous growth and improvement. This is what it's all about for you, is learning and growing. And then maintain the North Carolina Code of Ethics for educators and the Code of Professional Conduct for North Carolina educators. That being said, we have a handbook that's online that I sent everybody a link to earlier this year. When I went through it, it's awful, and it's not up to date. So I've had a committee working very hard to update that handbook, and hopefully by next week we'll have it approved, and you'll have a new handbook link sent to you that'll have everything updated and everything in your hands, and it has all the Code of Ethics and all this stuff in it. Okay? All right, timeline. We gave you this at the very first meeting, and they looked like this. Okay? It's also posted on Edmodo, and I'll repost it on there after today so that you'll have it again. But double check your timelines just to make sure all is going well. Elementary ed folks, you need to be working now on your teacher work samples. It says here November 26th of description and setting and rationale completed and on task stream. And by January the 2nd, all your TWS lesson plans must be submitted on task stream. So by the time you start back, everything needs to be done. For the middle school and high school folks, December 12th, all of your components are supposed to be into task streams. And you guys haven't done your BPSs yet. They are due on, it's said on here, April 29th, but they'll actually be presented on March 12th at the Educators and Career Fair. Isn't that right?
No, it's in April at Source.
Oh, okay. Then that may be the April 29th. Gotcha. I was thinking they were the other thing. But anyway, so be checking those. And again, I'll send you emails reminding you of everything. But please be keeping up with your timelines and making sure everything's going smooth.
Do elementary folks have to present theirs at Source Day too?
No, because you've already presented. Yep.
Okay, no, in the middle of high school.
Let's switch over.